Hello duelists, it's Tombox here, and in this video we'll be talking about why YGOPRO doesn't make you a good player in real life. In fact, it actually makes you less skillful and helps you develop some pretty bad habits. So first off, I am not hating on YGOPRO. I love the program. I enjoy using the software to play against people online and talking with you guys. All of that's good. But I believe that YGOPRO is a really good way to practice new decks and kind of having casual fun. And you shouldn't take the competitiveness too seriously. But if you are a competitive on YGOPRO, you're a really good YGOPRO player. But I would not immediately say that you're a really good Yu-Gi-Oh player. In fact, a lot of the things that you play on YGOPRO will help you develop some really terrible habits that will kind of get you screwed over in real life tournaments. Now, why do I say that? I say that because I believe that there's this invisible coach syndrome in YGOPRO. And a lot of this stuff is actually subconscious to you because it's all built in the automation of the software. That's why a lot of people, when they're trying to practice for competitive events, and even back when I was playing Necros and all that stuff, I use Dueling Network because it is so manual. Because it helps you catch, on my very first point, soft cheaters. Because a lot of people, when they play YGOPRO, everything is basically set and all the restrictions are set for you. So say someone played Pot of Desires, or not Desires, but Pot of Duality. They get to reveal 3 cards and they have a no special summoning clause for the rest of the turn. Some people forget that and then they special summon anyway. Or like they have an acid golem on the field and they keep special summoning anyway because they didn't read the cards properly. Like YGOPRO keeps all the restrictions for you, and therefore that's the invisible coach. And that can be said about other things too. Like, so first of all, catching soft cheaters. Second of all, it makes you a really bad read. You can't read your opponent's board. Why? This is actually caused by the delay of your opponents having a response to your cards. Like in YGOPRO, it's super easy to read a Solemn Strike, a Solemn Warning, Max C, Ghost Ogres. These are really easy reads. Why? It's because of the delay that your opponent can respond with. Naturally, most people have the delay auto set on, or they hold the delay because they don't want to miss their timing. And that can actually set off some, some bells and whistles in your head. Like, oh, hey, I summoned out a Deneb, a Stellar Deneb. Why didn't my effect activate? It's probably because he has a Solemn Warning. That's why I didn't activate, because the summon isn't successful yet. So you can read it through that, and you're like, oh, okay, he has this kind of deal. And like even for Max Caesar, they are super easy to read because when you summon a monster with an effect that's special summons, say Goblinberg, your opponent has like a longer wait time and then he chains the Max C. Like all these wait times that you get in the game because of the prompting, you subconsciously keep track of all this stuff, and then in your mind, that's how you're reading your opponent on YGOPRO. And actually, to be honest, that's how I do it on YGOPRO. It's like super easy to read half of this stuff. Like, say I summoned a card that's bait for warning, and you do not use your warning, I'm going to guess you have a warning in the background, and I'm going to Twin Twister your background before I go any further. And that's very much true. However, that does not apply in real life, and I have a real life example. It's like during regionals, I set a terraforming in my back row when I was playing ABCs, and my opponent would just not go into my back row at all. So that was a terrible read on his part, and like he just wouldn't commit into it. And these are some of the habits that you develop. And another point is the prompting, misplaying on the prompt. It's because you forget to activate certain effects, or you forget stuff that have met their triggering condition, and you forget to activate it. Like Blue Eyes players. This is a little bit more apparent for you guys because you put stuff in the graveyard so often, especially the White Stone of Ancients. It's because your graveyard, you always prompt at the end phase in the game telling you, hey, you should activate this because you just threw this in the graveyard. However, that's not always going to be the case because you have to keep track of everything that this invisible coach is telling you. So I've seen people miss their Max Cs like pretty bad. Like it's kind of obvious, like they're holding a Max C, your opponent starts special summoning stuff, and these are like chainable special summons, and you're like, they forget the Max C. So they miss their opportunity to get the maximum plus. And for a competitive level player, this is extremely important because a game can be decided between 1 or 2 cards, and missing out an extra card on Maxi is pretty bad. Forgetting to effect failure, and the thing is, people won't let you take back stuff at events. it's gonna be like, oh, the game state's already been revealed. I already kind of extended that far. If I let you get that advantage now, why didn't you activate it beforehand? You know, just, if you call a judge over, they're gonna rule in that guy's favor, of course. Especially when it's like no longer a repairable game state, or it's an accepted game state that you just forgot. You know, stuff like that happens. And that's why the invisible coach helps, kind of makes you a not so great of a player. And there's another point to be made, it's just single games. I loved it when DN decided to make matches as the natural thing to play rather than single games, because you don't play single games at locals, you don't play single games at regionals, you don't play single games in any tournaments. It's always going to be a match, and side decking is super important. I know a lot of players like to troll online and just play single games, like, you know, a one-trick pony, and then they run away after they win. You know, if you do that, fine by me. It's just, to the other players, you're not going to win any tournaments yourself. Of course, if you're playing like that, you're not aiming to win tournaments. You're just aiming to troll people or show how your deck works, and that's it. However, YGOPRO, like, as much as I'm like kind of, you know, talking how YGOPRO is not helping you become a better player, it does help you in another way. Playing faster because of the timer, so you can actually find your combos faster. Learning new decks is really, really useful because of all the restriction, it's like coaching you on how to play and like kind of telling you what's available. So when learning a new deck, it's much easier to ease into, especially without someone teaching you. And the other part about YGOPRO being pretty awesome is that you can use it to learn to break boards properly. Basically, learning how to pilot a deck is really useful on YGOPRO, but learning how to be a really good player, that's a different story. Now, Chansey Wigglestove said in one of our previous interviews that if you practice online on YGOPRO, it's like you're playing against yourself. You can't misplay, because if you misplay, that's going to cost you the game. And you're learning how to handle different like meta boards that you're gonna see. And YGOPRO, you can see a lot of OCG stuff, so you can kind of plan ahead of time. Kind of like what Sima said, like you have to plan ahead for the upcoming meta. So YGOPRO is really good for that too. But overall, my argument is just learning, if you use YGOPRO too much, you might develop some of these bad habits that are gonna cost you games. Like, oh man, that guy totally sacked me. Well, maybe he didn't. Maybe you just misplayed a bit more than you thought. And that's from the bad habits that you developed over time because you're used to so much reminder and it's like someone backseating you. What do you guys think about YGOPRO as a practice tool? Would you prefer to actually practice with a more manual system, especially for, you know, tournament-based things, or, you know, you're just up for some casual fun? Let me know it down in the comments section below. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more stuff from MST.TV, please hit the subscribe button. I really like you guys. And as always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.